Welcome to Plugged In Chatham-Kent, your business podcast. I'm Andrew, working communications, economic development, but more importantly, I'm sitting here with Stuart McFadden, Director of Economic Development. Hi, Stu.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good. 2019 has been a huge year. A few changes going on. I don't know where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about in terms of the big changes?
Well, I think 2019 was, again, as you said, was a lot of change. We had the election and listening to the councillors throughout that campaign, there was a real desire for some change, obviously. And we listened to that. We looked internally to find out how we were going about doing things and what we needed to do to be able to make sure that we were hitting, the points that council said was important. And then council got together and put together the strategic plan for their term of council and how that relates to the overall 2035 plan. And we listened to that, and we've made some adjustments accordingly to make sure that we can support that effort.
I think one of the big things that sort of started the change for the department was the fact that you were brought on about just over a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, just about a year ago, I became the full-time director. I was acting director for a couple of years in advance of that. But
That's really helped to set the course. And then part of the request, you made some requests to council to change the department. Do you want to talk about what type of changes you requested?
Yeah, so we had a conversation with council about the structure that we had before, and then after listening to them and what we needed to do in order to be able to move that initiative forward, their vision. And before we were very kind of like sector specific, and we had people involved in certain sectors, but we didn't really have any resiliency inside of the department. So what we wanted to do is, I remember Tom McGregor, a former councillor, him talking to me one day, and he said, "Stuart, what I'm looking for out of your department is boots on the street." And so that come to mind, and so we've created that. So what we've done is we adjusted the department so that we're not sector specific anymore. We've gone to a zone coverage. And before we had small business center advisors, and we had economic development officers, and now what we've done is at Zone 1, which is, say, Wallaceburg, Dresden, Ridgetown, Thamesville, Bothwell. We have two people there. One person working with our BIAs, our chambers, our Main Street businesses, our home-based businesses, working on entrepreneurship and schools and so on and so forth. And then we have another person that's focusing on the agricultural businesses, the IT businesses, the manufacturing, so on and so forth. So we've set that up. So now what we've got is two people in a zone that are getting used to communities. People are getting used to them. If all of a sudden someone calls up from Wheatley and has a concern, we know exactly who it is that's responsible for that file. And I think what we've done is we've given better coverage. And it's all, the intent is to make sure that we're knocking on as many doors as possible to find out what's going on in the business world, and if they have a problem, to make sure that we're there to help them through that. So I think again, so Chatham proper is a zone, and then Blenheim, Tilbury, Wheatley, that is a zone in itself. So we've got 6 people now out there in 3 zones, and very focused, and I think it's the right thing to do. And from what I've been hearing from people, it's they're liking it, and from councillors, they know who to call, who to work with. So I think it was the right thing to do, but we'll continue to massage that over 2020 and make sure that we're doing it the right way. And if you're not changing, then you're falling behind, right? So
absolutely, yeah. One of the other big changes that happened as well was our team, the economic development team itself, moved under a different portfolio with John Norton. So I do know if we want to touch on that as well.
Yeah, in the past, at one point in time, the Ec Dev department was underneath of the community development umbrella, and then it switched over to the CAO's office, and that happened when Don Shropshire becomes CAO, come over there. So, and then just recently, about a little over a year ago, we switched back to community development under the leadership of John Norton, and so which is good, and it makes a lot of sense because in that portfolio is your planning department, our building department, our legal department, fire department, and a lot of the things we work with inside of this department, as you well know, it's very close to. We need our planning, we need our building, we need our legal, and we're working on a program with the fire department as well. So. It made sense to be there. We're a team. We work together. We discuss files now. I think we've busted down a ton of silos. Very good communication back and forth. So the support is there that we need from those departments and other departments too. Don't get me wrong, but the support's there that we need in order to be able to help the people that we serve, and that's the citizens of CK.
Yeah, one of the big conversations we've had is making sure that concierge service is available. For when a business of any size, investors, that sort of thing, come into the area. And from what I've seen, being able to work directly with planning, directly with building, it's made a huge difference for that sort of one-stop shop type thing.
Well, my goal, in here, our goal is to be the conduit between business world and government, right? And people are so busy running their businesses. If they have a question, we do have 360-1998 for anybody that needs customer service, and they do a wonderful job. But really what we're getting to now, and I think we're seeing, is people are starting to call us when they have a question. We'll do the digging. You go back and run your business. You've got a busy day. You've got a lot of people. You've got things you need to worry about. That you have a question, concern, bring it to us. We'll do the digging internally and get back to you. So then all of a sudden you have one number to call. You don't have to call the customer and then being rerouted, or who do I contact? We'll do that heavy lift, and we'll do that running for you. So it's just good customer service. And economic development, you can call it what you want, but to me it's just it's customer service.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at the past. The big question is looking forward. So we're at the end of the year. Been a heck of a year.
Yeah.
We're looking over some of our numbers. We held a absolute pile of training and engagement sessions, and we're working with WeTech Alliance and all of these different groups. But let's look at what's going ahead. What do you see as the what's in your crystal ball for 2020?
Yeah. Well, the foundational things obviously we just continue to do. We need to promote entrepreneurship. We had a study that came out last year from the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, as you well aware, that said that Chatham-Kent was not entrepreneurial. And I remember getting a phone call from the press and saying, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, respectfully, I agree to disagree, because in the world that I live in, what I see every day, that's just not the case." But then it was kind of a reflection about that old adage, if you don't tell your story, somebody else will tell it for you. So we made a very concerted effort to make sure that we spent 2019 highlighting business success, new businesses that are opening, entrepreneurship training, and people that are starting up anew, or people that are expanding, or people that have been in business for 50 years or 10 years, hit milestones. And we, with your help and expertise, obviously, on purpose, went out and said, "Okay, world, we are entrepreneurial. We do have a great business vibe here, and we have a great business spirit here, and we're going to continue that in 2020." Our mayor absolutely loves it. He's a very positive person, and I think that goes to the whole idea about a community growing. If you think positive about the community that you live in, and how many times have we heard, "I didn't know about that. Thanks for pushing that out there. I wasn't aware." You know what I mean? And now we've got companies calling up, "Can you do something at my place?" You know what I mean? I'm having a 5-year anniversary. Can you show up? And obviously we will. So that's going to continue in 2020. The training is so important. Business planning. If you go into business without a plan, good luck. You know what I mean? And we've got some real skilled, talented people inside here that can help anybody that's got a thought and an idea, and help them frame that up to get them on the right foot for success. And we need to get into our schools. We need to continue to talk to our kids about jobs that are available in our community. The jobs are available today, and the jobs that could be available tomorrow. Right? Where should they focus their effort? Skilled trades. You know what I mean? It's my personal belief that the issue that we have right today with skilled trades is because of the fact we told our kids, "No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to." We need to have a lot more kitchen table talks with our kids about the opportunities and the type of lifestyle that you can live as a journeyman electrician or a plumber, or so our skilled trades are very important. So talking to our kids. Then all of a sudden it's the business retention expansion part of it. We got to take care of the businesses that are here, right?
Yep.
And that's the boots on the street. And that's the reason why we've got people dedicated now to zones, and they're out there. I think today we have 10 visits in Wallaceburg, corporate visits in Wallaceburg. That's what we need to do, intensify that, and that's going to be a big part of 2020 as well, to continue that, and so that we know we have the pulse of the community, understand what's happening out there. So that informs us about how we go about, in informing council, and when we make decisions internally, we need to understand what their thoughts are. So the business retention expansion, we're gonna amp up that and put it on steroids in 2020, if you want to call it that. And obviously, we need business investment, right? But we got to be investment ready, you know. And as we're aware inside this office that sometimes we have people that come and say, well, I'd like it's a 50,000 square foot building with 20-foot ceilings and no columns, and need this much hydro and this much gas, and it becomes difficult. We have lands that are zoned for industrial use, but they have no infrastructure there that we need, right? So to me, an industrial zone piece of property that has no infrastructure is a field, right? So we need to look at that. How do we get more investment ready? What story are we telling to the people that are making decisions? That's going to be a big focus on 2020, our marketing and communications. Engagement. You know, we talked about marketing comms is also community engagement. Continue to remind people about the wonderful things that are happening out there.
Not just remind, but also find out, you know, what their thoughts are.
Yeah.
Sorry, you get touching the passion of mine here, and we talk about growth strategies that we just put out a release yesterday about legal. Their great work they're doing with bylaws in order to reduce some red tape. They're at the preliminary stages. They're just reviewing these 30 bylaws. What they've said, and Dave's been very clear. Dave Taylor, he's been very clear to say, we've just started looking at this. We need to engage with businesses, BIAs.
Yep.
They said there's one on there that we have to go and talk to the BIAs, which will involve us. And so that's that engagement component that is huge, and part of our role.
Well, obviously, you know, I'm a big believer in community economic development. We are a small staff with a large population, a large geography, and but there's so many people in this community that are very passionate as well. We need to continue to listen to them, from our BIAs, our chambers, our Kent Federation of Agriculture, our real estate board, et cetera, right? These are people that are in our community, do business in our community every day. They have thoughts and ideas on what we can and can't, you know, what we should be focusing on, and we need to have open ears to that, right? They're partners. And also, they're ambassadors.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just 2 days ago, we received an email from a person who has a business here in Chatham-Kent and was having dinner with someone with a business up in the northern Ontario, and they're looking for a new location. And they said, well, they were actually looking in the States, and they said, well, have you ever thought about Chatham-Kent? I've had a wonderful experience in CK, so now we're meeting with this company on Friday, right? So that community economic development, that sense of pride and you know, we need that, and you don't get that unless you're there with your ears open and you're listening and you respect that, right? So,
absolutely.
And they're huge organizations that represent a large portion of our population. So, you know, that's another thing for 2020. Continue to build those relationships. Continue to work with them. Bring their ideas forward. There's no such thing as a bad idea. You know, let's talk it through and figure out what we can and go from there. So that's another focus.
You know, on that, I want to thank Chatham-Kent community, because what I've seen in the past year, definitely the past 6 months, has been people reaching out who aren't even in business to say, did you know about this business opening in Ridgetown? Did you know about this one in Wallaceburg?
Yeah.
Make sure you get out to talk to them. They're brand new. There was a little shop that opened up in Chatham that we probably wouldn't have known about, because it was just a little place. It was sort of tucked away. And so I got to thank the community, because that's huge. That is so important. We had wonderful conversations with them. And that ties back to, I think you said, you know, there's 106,000 ambassadors out there.
Yep.
We got 6 of them here.
Yeah.
But 106,000 out there. So.
Well, everybody, if you know, little short story, back in the day when I was with the Wallaceburg Community Task Force, there was a phone call that came in to the chamber office, and it was a company from Edmonton, and they said, well, they wanted to know more about the community, so it was passed on to me. We got in touch with them, started sharing information, and a couple years later, and it did take that long, they opened up in Wallaceburg as Precious Mika, and today the Romeka. They've had 3 expansions since they come here and been a wonderful addition. But it's that sharing of information, working together. We're all economic development officers.
Absolutely.
Bob Crawford, our fire chief that just retired, he said, you know who's an economic development officer? And I asked, who, Bob? And then he goes, me. We all are. And I agree with that. So, yeah.
Yep. Hey, On this discussion of growth and change and all these things, I know that we've got the Blenheim Business Park, which has the road expansion going in. Yeah. You talked about other need for infrastructure. What type of infrastructure? I mean, without advocating, obviously, but what sort of things in your mind do we need to look at for 2020 and beyond?
Well, you hit on a couple there. I mean, our business parks, we need to make some investments inside of the business parks to open up some lots. In Bloomfield, we're doing an environmental study or an engineering study right now to extend Prosperity Way around through there's a large portion of property back there. We've already sold 5 acres of, but they can't take possession of it until 2021 because of the fact we're not going to have the road and the servicing in until then, right? A lot of people think, well, that's a business park. It is, but it's not serviced. So we're going to be making some investment in 2020 to open up some more lots back there. Blenheim, the same thing. We're doing the road right now. But it's other places too. It's also privately held properties that people own, and what we need to do there to help them market their properties as investment ready, shovel ready. That's an expectation. Like, you can't come to someone and say, well, I've got this parcel of property, please move here, and we can go out and we can do an environmental assessment, and then we'll go out for tendering, and then we'll actually get it into the schedule, and we'll put the pipes in 18 months from now, it'll be ready. There's an expectation out there that you're ready to go now, right? Yeah. If a company's coming in and look, if you haven't got an existing building, you better have property that is ready to go. And I know I've referred to it a few times as being investment ready, but that's my mind. That's what we need to be. And so it's not only municipal properties, but it's also privately held properties. Where are those at? And continue to partner with them and work with them to make sure that we're ready to go.
I don't know if you want to touch on the fact that our housing market seems to be doing phenomenal right now.
Yeah, it is, and it's a challenge as well, right? When we talk about growth is many things. It's not only putting pipe in the ground and infrastructure in place, fiber, gas, hydro, but it's also about making sure we have a community that is able to accept newcomers into our community, people that are coming here for the jobs that are available. And right now the market is tight. We need to focus on supporting the market builders, if you want to call it that, the people that are out there. Kudos to all of them that have got shovels in the ground right now. We also need all kinds of housing, affordable housing. We need multi-residential. I mean, someone mentioned the last time we had a high-rise that was built in CK was like 25 years ago, right? Now we have one under construction, but do we need to inspire that? And I think that's 2020 as well, is having that, gathering the information first and going to council. And council's actually already told us, come back with some ideas about what we can do to inspire growth, right? So I know our folks in the planning department are working diligently on some tools that we might be able to get to expedite growth and to get us into a spot where if we can get some more building going on, it might help exhaust the market a little bit, which might bring down the price a little bit, right? Because right now you're getting multiple buyer bidders on a single home, and maybe they're going above what it should be. But if we had a little bit more capacity inside of the market, then it might exhaust the price, bring things down a little bit more manageable. But let's not forget about affordable. We need to make sure it can't be just all $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 homes. There's a market for that, but there's also the people that are coming into the community that are getting established in their careers, and they need something inside of their price point that's going to be able to help them move in here. And again, when they move here, they're taking advantage of the jobs that are available or creating their own jobs and go from there.
Wanted to touch on the benefits of economic development and taxes. You've talked a bit about this before, and at least in our meetings, and how if we aren't growing, if we're sort of keeping that status quo of 0.1% or whatever the number is, what does economic development mean in terms of growth and how it can help our tax base? Is that a fair question to ask? I'm asking the right question.
it's asked now. You know what I mean? So here we are. Here's my philosophy on this. And again, we work at the will of council, and council provides us direction, and we go out and execute. But you know, I'm a former business owner, and know that as every year you have costs that continue to grow, and so you have to you need more sales, and in order to be able to meet those demands, right? Chatham-Kent is similar. It's a business, right? We have this thing called inflation that continues to drive up our cost of operation. So we need to have growth in order to be able to stay ahead of that curve. That comes in, you know, the municipality gets its revenue from the province of Ontario and from the tax base. So there was a report that went to council a couple weeks ago, I think, and there's some downloading that's happened, and that's going to have a direct impact on this year's budget of 1.5%. So when we factor in inflation on that, you know, so we need to have growth. And again, I maybe say we need to expedite growth a little bit and stay ahead of that curve so we can continue to offer the services that we have today and make it affordable to live here. And or we need to look internally and find out, you know, how can we do business differently in order to be able to find the savings that we need in order to be able to be sustainable long term. So I do believe that our role as economic development is to help create a place where people feel comfortable and investing, a place where they feel that this is a right place to be. We need to encourage investment. We need to advocate on behalf of the services that are needed for investment to happen. And if we do that, then we'll continue to grow and stay ahead of that inflation and that downloading curve, and so that we can continue to be prosperous into the future.
Great. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I think I just go back to the fact that, you know, we need to continue to tell our story. You know, I'm a lifelong resident of Chatham-Kent. I was in the grocery business for a number of years, in the independent side and on the corporate side. And my wife and I purchased our store in 2002, sold it 2007, and started in this world. It's a great community. It's a great place to raise your kids. It's a great place to do business, in my mind. Do we have opportunities for improvement? Absolutely. Are we going to continue to listen? Absolutely. I just think that this is a wonderful place, and I see 2020 is going to be a great year for CK, I believe, as we continue to roll out some of these plans, and we continue to work with our developers and whatnot, and we continue to work with our business owners who are continuing to invest in innovation and they're expanding. The agricultural world is very exciting right now. What's happening inside of that? We've got some neat things that are happening inside of that sector. So I just think CK is a great place to do business and to bring up a family. And I'd encourage anybody that wants to know more to give us a ring and see whether or not we'll sit down and talk it through.
Perfect. Thanks, Stu. Thanks for coming in. I know you're busy, but I appreciate your time.
Well, Andrew, thank you for all you've done. You've been a great addition to this team. You've taken our storytelling to another level, and it's so important. Again, if people don't know what they don't know, and you're doing a heck of a job making sure that people are aware of what's happening inside of our community. You working with the team and other departments, and you know, thank you to you. And I guess is this the last podcast of?
It's last or second last. I might have one more to sneak in. I just found out about a new opportunity that's coming in, but we'll see. Maybe the last one, but there might be one more that I just sneak in there. So
well, maybe then I just take the time to say I wish everybody a safe and happy holiday to you and your family. Nothing but the best, and we look forward to working with you in 2020 in your business. And if you need anything, please give us a call. We're here. That's our job, and we enjoy working with you. So all the best. Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Perfect. You know what? We're just going to end it there. I won't even mention the website, which is investck.ca. All right?
Perfect.
Thanks, Stu.
Thank you.